Medafo masanso no wodi ahyiamu ebiem ye wo eye na wo twofoforo mu bosome foforo eni afoforo happy new year biem e de ma obibia bomodi na subscribe channel wi Joba Aba TV jumedie no Joba Trend subscribe ya na wa like na wa share e de amame ebusia ya tie sim na wo twoforo mu die na ensam a course wo na wo twi awieye eni na wo twi mu enyina na mebebo no bede e de aba besomo trending issues so any over social media no so anasa over channel baby dia de jeche ebonfumpa wo baby me twa me ho abasisi na nsam a akoso no me dia besomo abusia wo bekaya last year ni mu no na billboard bi edna na mabonten a chese emfoni bi da so a obi ede max bi ahye nanim saa wode kaka moto bia yi bi saa ahye nanim ene saa bre na mu na amanyoku awodo na agu so mo ye campaign awodo wo regions awodo na enum ana saa emfoni no so pia abonte wo billboard so a na enkofo bebre tag Captain Mark say ono ene bia nanim eda so ebi so se Cheddar the multi-billionaire no ono ena nanim eda so ene chese nkrofo keka ya wiawie ya no ena abaya bi pie se ono spokesperson ede ma the new force wa ono Sharima Abusi ana won sansam nyina beda abonten ma ko wi ache ya che na ya deporting man ko kurom no enti eno mu ensansam na ene ye wura afi mu yeguso a ye twen se yewo political man ti mu de atesa amanyokuo no so wo mani abra obia eda so eye ne campaign de na atesa ye hwe ni mu se sa the new force no omo so won se besa pie bie mu ana ene enrada ena convention bi epie mu ewo eye Independence Square atesa efa the new Africa womo foundation a omo so ede aba eye owura ye friend freedom na Bediako a Cheddar enkrofo bobondin se ona na the new force na no ono ene ye sa eye conference no anasa convention to nsa ede fra bibremu empanimfuo bi a ebi mu efri Kenya ebi mu efri Zimbabwe ebi mu nso fri South Africa ena ebi mu enso fri Nigeria ba so memeboa no ema eye asemti a eda wo mu convention so e friend igniting the voice of Africa no wo mu mepense mu enche the youth of Africa na sa enkrato ya wo de ba ye mu ena Dr. Arena a ofri Zimbabwe o de nsem atudwa no wo kire mu se o se omo de omo ba ye se omo be encourage Ghana youth no anasa African youth no se ebe ya omo behunu se omo obotaye bi esu mani so na Africa no we are still there omo be kai se Africa ye wani so ade hunu se ye yire ye ho ne the skills eba ye hwehwe mu ne ne ma ye mu a ebe boa am Africa tumpo pa na se de enwomesua ato ape na eye apomuden wonsam so ato ape no se ye Kenya ye ho ne ye boa ema youth no ehu botaya esi Africa ani so a maybe ba the coming years be eda ye nimu a enema besesa pa ama nema akonanim omo de the new Africa Foundation omo so omo buy the my youth no esan se mabunu ene de omo echichukuro.
Welcome everyone, journalists from around the world. We appreciate and honor you for having taken the time to come and join us here in the great country, the Republic of Ghana, a country that is so pivotal to Africa and Africa's development. We couldn't have had this conversation at a better place than the home of none other than Kwame Nkrumah. So yes, I want to thank all of you for taking the time to come. We were supposed to be at the convention center, I agree, but this is life. Things happen, changes do come. I can't answer your question, my son. I too do not know why we're not at the convention center. But I came prepared to address the youth. That's what we were asked to do. We were asked to encourage the youth to talk about Africa's future. The future that we all know can only succeed when our youth are empowered with knowledge. That is what all of us have done here. To my right, Professor Lumumba, he speaks nothing but the truth about our beloved continent and way forward. To my right, Honorable Peter Obi, some message. The world at large, they know that Africa's future is in the hands of our youth. So New Africa Foundation specifically requested us to come and address African youth, starting with the youth in Ghana. And from what I'm hearing, the youth had actually come from all over Africa, and some came from outside Africa, specifically to hear the message of empowerment, the message about our future, the message about the miseducation of not only our youth, but us as Africans, the message about empowering our children and letting them know that now it is the time for us to do what we must do to take our Africa back. For far too long, we have been lied to. For far too long, we have been miseducated. And so as elders, those of the ones who are sitting with me today, and many others, we understand that we have failed our youth. But we do have a responsibility to make it right. And we do know that with our little wisdom and the energy and the intelligence of our youth, together we can take our Africa in a new direction. That is what we came here to do. And that is what New Africa Foundation has asked us to do. We do know that our leaders cannot lead us on their own. They need all of us. So the message that we were going to deliver to our youth today was the message of hope, the message of resilience, and the message that says the Africa we want can only be built by us for us. And for us to succeed at doing so, we must be united. That the African youth are Africa's future. Without them, there is no future for Africa. And as elders, we have a responsibility to share with them the truth and nothing but the truth. That is the message that we came here to deliver. That is what New Africa Foundation had requested us to do. We may not be at the convention center, but we intend to continue to preach the gospel of truth until we reach the promised land. I have no doubt in my mind that we will get there. Because Africa, the Africans, the people I like to describe as the beautiful, intelligent, sophisticated, highly adaptable, and totally indestructible human beings, the mothers and fathers of humanity, we will get to the promised land. And that's why we're here.
Enumu ena eye Professor Lumumba ofri Kenya. Ono nso so ede na do disem tuja na wo kire say South Africa betima sesa pa e was a youth now mo Africa no enya the spirit of hope. So benya da so say de adro bia enkachi de benya yonkofa youth na mo Africa ni nyina benya yonkofa na ya kai say ye wo bia ogina ye ebo kwan pade ma Ghana Dr. Osajefo Kwame Nkrumah mere bia etwamu ene na nyina ye kai no ebo na body e de hana ne say wabeye bi e de ama Africa enu ntie so ye beye bi e de atoa ne ma pa wo jan ho no eso ene Dr. Lumumba ofri Kenya ono so ne nsam no yenkotie ne nsam ni mu yie na yentie nsam a ode etoa so embra.
Thank you very much, my good sister Dr. Arikana has spoken for me, and I believe for all of us. We came here to Accra, Ghana, to share our message. It's the message of hope. It's the message that Africa needs at this time. And there is no better place in the continent of Africa to begin that message than Accra, Ghana. It is in this Accra, Ghana that the Osagie for Kwame Nkrumah, almost 67 years ago, spoke to the world and told the world that the independence of Ghana meant nothing if the continent of Africa was not free. 67 years later, we were congregating here in Accra, in the very same place where the founding fathers and mothers of Ghana congregated to share the message of hope. Invited as we were by the New Africa Foundation, with one single instruction that we have lamented for too long, agonized for too long, and the time is now to organize. That is the innocent message that we came here to deliver. And in a manner totally inexplicable to us, we are not at that venue. But is it not the wise to say, when the world serves you a lemon, ask not for an orange, make yourself lemonade? We are here therefore to say that the message will be alive and well. And you who are here, young and old, you are the conduit via which we are now telling the world that the journey of hope continues apace, not only within the continent of Africa, which is the mother continent, but to Africans in the diaspora. I have no doubt in my mind that there is a conspiracy of sorts by the elements that it has happened the way it has happened. So this is not an occasion for lamentation. It is an occasion for redoubling our efforts. And our presence here in Accra, Ghana, my good friend, Honorable Obi, my dear sister, Dr. Rikana Chihombri Kwao, this is the occasion for which the English word serendipity was created. It is a serendipitous occasion that heralds a great future for the continent of Africa. So that looking forward, a meeting such as this will happen not only here in Accra, Ghana, but I look forward to a meeting such as this taking place in Ouagadougou, in Burkina, taking place in Dakar, in Senegal, in Nairobi, in Kenya, in Johannesburg, in South Africa, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, because this is about the continent of Africa. And we say this at a time when we know that Africa has promised to herself that we are going to make more intimate our interaction. This is why the Africa Continental Free Trade Area is headquartered here in Accra, Ghana. This Accra, Ghana is where all Africans of goodwill pay homage. Because out of this Accra, Ghana, there was a great son, the Osagie for Kwame Nkrumah. Shall be well with Accra, Ghana.
Thank you.
Professor Lumumba enso nsam ena ode atodwa ene omoto nsafra omonso de nsam abetodwa pa eno achi ena eye honorable Peter Obia ofri Nigeria ono so ede ni nsam todwa na wo chemu se on se Africa ye wo mabuna omo ewo ahoden omo energy omo sanso wonim die omo atu ho ache wo fa homa ete se eye ye nwura freedom na sa emebunu nyina wo mo bo mo modern Africa ye natural resource nanso da bia ye ho kire ye esan fail leadership empanimfu a emu o man ni ye na omo se o man no esan wo man kasa pese munkuminya esuban a ewo mumunti ene eye owura Peter Obi a oye honorable free Nigeria o kasa no wo se kire mu se Ghana ana Africa ana Zimbabwe ana Kenya enkura etwa Africa wonhia nyina ebefo monto mapafura adanso ewo ye ne afoforo ntam a na ewo se ye di ye ho esi wo se ye betimi aye na ye beye nso amana ye.
Well, after listening to Prof and Doctor, I don't know whether I still have anything to contribute to this. But to your question, our reason for coming to, let me start by thanking the New Africa Foundation for their invitation and organizing this event. Like previous speakers have said, we might not be at the convention, but that will not stop the conversation. We only shifted venue, so the conversation continues. We're in Ghana to start the conversation about Africa. Africa for too long has suffered, and everybody knows the reason why Africa has suffered. People can try to present it in different stages. The Prof speaks about it every day. Africa has been going through what it's going through because of what I always say, that it is due to one problem: leadership. It is failed leadership over the years that brought Africa where it is. I want to start a conversation because of what Dr. Arikana has said, talking to the youth of Africa. No continent in the world today has the potential of Africa. Not one. We are the second largest in terms of population and size, but our potential is far greater than even number one, because today Africa is the only continent that have a population of 1.1 billion youths, energetic, talented, ready to leave the world in different areas of the world. Africa is home to the biggest, highest amount of natural resources, from minerals to, we have 65% today of the world all cultivated arable land. So imagine what we can do. We can feed the world. We can do everything. But ironically, because of what I started with, failed leadership over the years, Africa is also home to the highest number of poor people. Out of the 700 million people in extreme poverty today, 431 million live in Africa. Over 30% of our population. If you go to multidimensional poverty, out of 1.1 billion, over 60% is in Africa, with Congo and Nigeria leading. Today, in the surface of the world, Congo has the highest amount of natural, call it minerals, over 24 trillion. Nigeria has a similar situation. You can extrapolate Congo situation to all over Africa, where they have everything, but they are producing poverty. It cannot continue with our youth. With the energy they have, they can lead the world in technology, in health, in entertainment, in everything. All they want is leadership, purposeful leadership. Africa has what is, look at its wealth, resources, shamelessly stolen and put in private pockets. It cannot continue. So we are just here to continue conversation. It's not about any country, anything, but talking to the youth of Africa to know that they can change the world. They can change the way things are in Africa. Africa should not be a continent where people come to beg or plead for aid. We should be contributing to aid some other people with the resources we have. And that's what Africa should be. Their own Africa should be. That's all the conversation is all about. It's about the future of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ebusia enti weni Honorable Peter Obia free Nigerian. Omoton and Safra, the New Africa Foundation for Tons Afrino, say on Mamma, we are singing our youth, no, womu ehu de was a muyano, and sama, or no so edia atuja enono. Omuri yeno, and the New Africa Foundation, Omo President, I a friend, a ye ora freedom, Nana Bediako, do one name, say friend Cheddar. Just the new force no max no necrofona esusu se eyo no an ono so eden nsem etuja na all kano ne tofa bomu nyina o kire se ono ya wo no kura eye kumase ene ye wo no kumase wazo ye obusua ye wazo ye pa esan se Cheddar kire mu o se ye wo no kumase ne ye wo no kura na eye kuaye enhu ana na eye adwuma ewo ho ono maame a owo no de ne ba asase so maame no no spiritualist huhum niema ena na ogidie na maame de se ni tirimu se onye bibi emfa emmo wiase nyina wa mfra na amasa omeye Ghana nko ana se ya amona amasa omeye Ghana nko na mmom maame de se ni tirimu se ne maame owo no no o de se ntirimu se wiase nyina hinya no enu te se dumre bi na ne nsa so ne nsa adware na se wo so tiremu a ontirema enso Africa nyina na eno ne bota ya odi asina ni so o se nya pesam nkum nyanti ena ono waba na emo by say eye social responsibilities are ato ape ewo Africa no obehye ne den no wa be Kenya no na enye ono ankasa ne ho enti ena obaye yenkotie eye owura freedom na Bediako Cheddar adodo na susu said the new force wo a president no yenkotie ne nsam no emra.
I grew up in a farmland somewhere in Ghana, in Kumasi, and I was birthed by a woman who is a spiritualist, and she raised me on a farmland. But she raised me with the fear of the Lord, and she gave me a capital. The capital was the advice she gave me. She said, son, learn how to give to the world, and the world will always come embracing you. I took those words with me. And that was the beginning of the birth of the New Africa Foundation. That wasn't the name then, but we were givers. So we have been givers for 3 decades. And it grew, and it grew, and it grew. But I thought that having a foundation was just about giving. As it was growing, I realized that it's also about being responsible for the society you belong to. And that's how today we're sitting here. 7 months ago, I decided that the greatest voices in Africa should come together and start to speak for how Africa should be governed by Africans and not foreigners and not other people who are interested in whatever resources that we have in our countries. But we should be responsible for our own human resource and mineral resources. And the only way to do that is to industrialize our people and our minerals. So I want to use this moment to first of all thank all of you to accept this invitation. How would I have thought of myself that coming from a farmland, a 6-year-old boy that didn't have anything, would one day call upon people like you, and you accept my invitation. A young man like me, and people that can birth me, people that can be my aunties, my uncles, my leaders, my presidents. But you listened to the voice of the young man, and you came here to speak to the youth and the people of Africa. They say the greatest creation, or the most pinnacle creation, is the human's mind. and it must be used for a good purpose. Africa is lacking education, but not the type of education like Doctor was talking about. The sort of education that should come from our own. How to learn about our own resources. How to know to add value to our people. When you take value away from people, you stop the economy of your own country. You stop the growth of your own country. When you add value to the people, the country starts to grow. And Africa is about to grow because we are ready to add value to humanity, to the people who are Africans. So the purpose of New Africa is not only to give you food, is not only to organize a convention for us to meet and give you knowledge, but it's also to stand up and become responsible for the social responsibilities of this continent that will build the youth. For the future of Africa is in the hands of the youth. They have more years ahead of them. And at least we have lived half through our lifetime, and some of us have even gone past that, but we thank God for giving us life. And we need to think about our children. We need to think about the youth who are coming up. So again, when I look at this opportunity, I don't take it lightly. You might call it a failure. I see it as an opportunity. Being here and being with us is 4 different leaders from 4 different sides of Africa coming to Ghana makes me feel that this is the headquarters of Africa. People have value for Ghana. They have value for Accra. When I was growing up, one of my favorite mentors was Kwame Nkrumah. And I had to find out the true story about him. His mother used to cross a river to go to the farm. And one day, in the river, his mother had stepped on a fish. And he pointed the fish and said, "Mama, you're standing on the fish." So the mother dipped her hand in the water, picked the fish, and they said that was illegal according to the tradition of the Nzimas. So they took the fish and Kwame Nkrumah to the palace. And the chief, the king, said, "Who found the fish?" And the woman said, "My son." And the king said to the woman, "Cook the fish for your son to eat." Now the point that I'm trying to make is that Kwame Nkrumah was ordained. He was already ordained, and we couldn't change that. Patrice Lumumba is ordained. Dr. Arikana is ordained. Peter Obi is ordained. We need to start to respect ordination. Our leaders are ordained for a reason. Who would have thought that kid at the back of the woman one day will have the whole world talking about him, about the changes that he wanted to bring in Africa? The leaders of Africa, I would like to use this moment to urge that please look into your youth. You have the Nkrumahs in there. You have the Marcus Garveys in there. You have the Martin Luthers in there. You have great leaders in the youth. Give them the chance. Let them just help. Let them add value to the people. Let them support us. Let's support ourselves. Let's build ourselves again. And on this note, I would like to say sorry to those that couldn't participate with us in the convention. But right here, I am seeing the convention.
This is the convention.
This is the birth of the convention.
This is the convention.
So, I would say that we probably would choose another African country one of these days and still spread the word of the convention. Because today marks a constitutional day in our country, and I believe that New Africa is born again here, and the convention has sparked from here. So I would like to encourage all of you to believe in this convention that the voices of Africa is being ignited for the right reasons. And thank you very much. And thank you.
Nti abusua eye Owura Cheddar, the new false president, announced the new Africa Foundation. Ono de omuti eno sa de no. omo si omo ayi no omo de aba ne din no the New Africa Foundation. And they say no be nim say New Force no say no ane New Africa no say nye no ane no ene ye be hwe wo krom a mere kona yim say ne nyina wo sansam no ebebo apini ne nsam a eye Cheddar enso so ade abetu dwa no eno no ene o say youth no o ho de mo bibia enti ye mu bia ye wop opepa say ye enso so no ye talent a ye wo no ye betima explore talent no ye mfamra na ono so beso yasane ama ne nyina atim awie mu die chese eya na empanifo nyina ka abom nyina o mo kire se Ghana and Africa no ye wonimdie a ye betim die aye ba niam ye de beka ho no ene ani ye ni ho akade ye wani so ade mu se nya we aye be ye pa ba ehu nimdie kakra ehu akade kakra no aya na atosini enu nti no ye nyina ye ka ye ho abom na aboa ebeboa ama Africa agina afa ne ntoma pa e de afra abusu amamenka wo se Coastland Travel Service say akonto hu sansam de hia sa wotena wo man mu ane ne man koyi a na esafata se ye yu baabi akoma bi na kise wo sa wotu kwan na akopɛ bra bi bo enu nti na Coastland e wo ho no se ba no akonto hu se pa de a fa ne nyina ebedan one wona so ye ono de o se ba no passport to take it o visa bibia fa akonto hu no fa bedan Coastland no hwe entoto ne nyina enfa numbers no egu screen as a free na eni wo mu eni enkomo sa aiso na abeikusantana se men kan hwe wo se aduane papa de wudi a na wadi na wanya ahoden enya aduane bia na edi aduane bo wudi kura wo se wonum nyina ato enu nti na make abeikusantana de ama mo US no ehonom nko a na ebeboa oye door to door delivery oye order bia de yan so ba wo so na homa no obefa na oye order bia opa bia e de ama wo e ba ne so omra wo fie meye nnuane fa so fridge mu na nya bi store fa si wo de ma wo ne unafofo wabusua ne nyina abeikusantana obeye kama e de ama wo fa number no go screen ase na any abeikusantana lady eni enkomo medi e de break to na adwoa sewa am powerful bracket 2 abusua ye besan so ahia biem medamase